Thanks for doing this. Let's just jump right in if that's cool with you. I'd love to
Sure.
learn about your organization and your role there.
So I'm the executive director of the International Pemphigus and Pemphigoid Foundation, which Pemphigus and Pemphigoid are rare autoimmune skin blistering diseases. So the IPPF is, in our world, what we call patient advocacy organization. We've been around for 31 years. I've been with the organization for the last 10 and executive director for the last three. And really, our founder was a patient and wanted to connect with other patients. And with rare diseases, that's really difficult. So people feel alone. They've never heard of these diseases until they get diagnosed, and that's a scary, point to be in. We also focus on disease education for both patients and medical professionals. Obviously, a lot of awareness and advocacy work. And then finally, we also are involved in research.
Okay, great. And so tell me about how you fundraise.
Yeah, so I guess to big picture give you an idea of the breakdown of our funding. We're small, we tend to hover anywhere right around the $500,000 revenue a year. About half of that is from individual donors. The other half traditionally is a mix of corporate partnerships, sponsorships, and some grants. We do not have any dedicated development staff, which is not uncommon for an organization of our size, but it's definitely a pain point of mine. It means that, I'm leading all of the fundraising from strategy to, working on the communications. And we're pretty traditional in that, end of year fundraising is still our biggest time of year. Most of our fundraising happens through email. From our email list, just kind of nature of our donors is that pretty much everybody has a direct connection to these diseases.
Hmm.
Um, and these diseases tend to affect older people. So it's either patients themselves, patients' caregivers, or we get a lot of, you really helped my dad through this situation. That's why I'm donating. There's always a personal connection, which on the one hand limits our pool, but also means that they tend to be more motivated, whether that's through donating or just through volunteering.
And
Yeah.
so what are your goals? Like what do you want to be raising? What does impact look like moving forward? Where are you headed, IPPF as an organization?
One goal is just developing a major donor, I guess, program you'd call it, but essentially having the tools in place. What we haven't had is easy, already spelled out, like I think of like a one pager, just what are you interested in? Developing those resources that walk the line between what we're currently doing and dream projects and dream versions of what we're currently doing. And the one thing I've noticed with our donors who do ask those questions, it can be difficult to have those conversations because there's a lot of kind of education that needs to happen around what we do.
So, how do you talk to people about what their gifts have already done? Like, what is a story that you tell? What do you point to that can succinctly say, hey, this is what we did with your money?
It's patient stories.
Okay.
It's the emotional appeal, more than specific data points. What tends to happen, it takes them a few years to get their disease under control. There's no cure, but a lot of people can achieve remission. And once they get to that point, they tend to want to pay it forward.
And so, what is IPPF's role when you're telling a patient's story of going from diagnosis to remission? What is the, okay, so point A, right? They are diagnosed. Point B, they're in remission. In the middle of point A to point B, what does IPPF do in patient support? Like, talk to me like I'm 6 years old.
First thing is that we connect patients with other people who have been there, done that, and understand from an emotional perspective what you're going.
Mm. So, support group.
So that's number one, but the emotional connection is kind of first and foremost, but it's also people need information. Even if they happen to find the right name of these diseases, they get information that's often
Yeah,
decades old,
I
and
can't
so it
imagine.
sounds a lot worse than it will be for them usually.
Sure.
Um,
So accurate education on
exactly.
their specific disease.
We
So
can help
education
people.
on their health and then mentorship support group. Would
Yeah,
you
so we're
say, I'm sure
essentially,
that you do more, but would you say that is like the bulk of the type of specific patient support? That's the majority of what you do. Most of the people you help get those things.
I'd say it's the heart of what we do.
Yeah. Okay, great. So, and how many individual donors do you have?
Year in, year out, it's 2 to 300.
How would you rate the donor experience for people who give? Like 0 to 10, 10 being like the best ever.
Probably right in the middle. We do, I think, a good job up front of kind of connecting the why to their gift. Where we really fall off, I think, is long-term stewardship.
And then what would you say of the 200 to 300 individual donors, your top donors, like your top 20, right? The 80-20 principle, 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of your donors, right? Of
Mhm.
that 200 to 300, there's 20 people who are giving 80% of the revenue. This is across the board. It's a principle of life, right? It's like the way it is. So, of those top folks, do you think they're giving their best gifts, or if you're would you guess there's probably more on the table with those people? What's your assessment of that?
I would guess as a group, there's definitely more on the table.
Okay,
Um,
if you were to put a number on what you think that number is, what would it be? What's your best guess?
so our top donor gives a six-figure gift every year.
Uh-huh.
Then there's a jump down to probably like 10K. That 10K to like 1K group that we're talking about, they're giving those amounts without us asking for those amounts. So I
Uh-huh.
think there's a lot of room for growth there. If you take off that top donor, I think there's still six figures could raise in that the middle group.
100K? 200K? What do you think?
I wouldn't be surprised if it was 200K and there's just, people who are giving 5,000 to us, 5,000 here. If we could connect with them from the standpoint of investing in the impact that is not just a charity gift, really investing in, the impact of our organization and being able to show them, what a bigger donation can really do and how that, can snowball into even bigger things. I think that, could be huge.
So you think, and how many donors are we talking about? 10, 15, 20?
Yeah. Yeah. 20.
20 people. So right now, in your donor base, you think there are likely 20 people who could potentially be giving $200,000 more than they're already giving. That's your best guess.
It's a complete guess, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Hmm. Okay. So let's say you're sitting down with one of them. Think of someone, think of a specific person, okay, who has maybe been giving for loyally for years. You know that they are in your corner personally. Like they want you, Patrick Dunn, to win. They believe in IPPF. Like it's not just that they want to advocate for patients, but they believe in the organization. Are you thinking of somebody who fits the bill with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So go ahead and give them an alias, whatever name you want.
Terry.
Terry. Terry. Okay. So let's pretend we're going to do a little role play here, and I'm Terry. So you're going to talk to me, Terry. I'm in your corner. I believe in what you're doing. And you've already said that you're pretty sure I could give more. So I want you to practice making an ask to me, Terry, for what you would like me to consider.
Okay.
Okay.
So Terry, I'm curious about what aspects of our work that you've seen in the last couple of years that you've hopefully been excited about.
I love seeing all the stories. It makes me think about how you helped my father in his last years of his life. And I love seeing that, for other families. I know what a huge difference it was for me and my siblings. And to see our dad taken care of was everything. And I love seeing the stories of other families, celebrating remission and getting the help that I know that we really needed.
Yeah, I love hearing that because that's why we do this and that's why we're here. And as you're seeing, that's the common thread of, all the patients who come to us and their families. And one thing that we've noticed that we could do better at in that area is really having a standardized, not just way for patients to connect with us, but to really be walked step by step through the journey from diagnosis to treatment. And so we're really looking at developing this mentorship program where not only do we have people to talk to, but they are better trained. And then hopefully once those patients achieve remission, provide a way for our exceptional connections like you who have given so much to the organization already to easily transition into a role where they can pay it forward by becoming mentors themselves. What I'm trying to figure out is that first piece is the training piece. And what we're seeing is that we could use an investment of $10,000 more than your original gift to not only launch the program, but secure the training for these mentors for the next 2 years. I know you've been one of our biggest supporters, not just financially, but whenever we have a meeting, you're there. So I wanted to come to you first to see if that's something you'd be interested in.
Okay, so you want me to give 10,000? Is that what you're asking?
10,000 in addition to your 2,000 that you gave 3 months ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, whatever you need. Sounds great.
Oh, that's awesome, Terry.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you for all the great work you do. It's so important.
Well, it means a lot to hear from you.
And scene. Okay. Good job. So give yourself feedback. How do you think you did?
Oh, rambly.
Okay. What do you think you did well?
Explain the impact and the specific program. Asked for specific dollar amount.
Yeah. What would you like to do differently next time?
Make it sound more exciting
Yeah.
and
So
be able to
can
do it
I do your
quicker.
pitch? My
Yeah,
version of it? You want to hear it?
please.
I'm making this up on the spot here. So, hey Terry, I just thanks so much for your time today and jumping on this quick call. You have been loyally supporting IPPF for the last 7 years, and I just want to say thank you for that.
Oh, yeah, sure. It's no problem. I love being a part of it.
And I know that you've told me in the past that you give because of the impact that our organization had in walking with your late father. And I remember you've shared with me how that was everything to have that kind of support in just one of the toughest moments of your life. And it really just means a lot to have you in our corner and to have you supporting us year after year. And I just really want you to know the huge difference that you've made and that you are providing that support for so many other families like yours.
Oh, yeah, of course. My dad loved you guys, so it's the least I could do.
Yeah, we loved him. And we've been able to help 1,200 patients like your dad this past year. And it's been an incredible season of growth for us, and we're looking to expand and to build even more support for people. And the feedback that we've gotten from patients is that having a support group is powerful, and that having a mentor who can guide them, who has had a diagnosis and is now in remission, really helps them to maintain a quality of life, to have peace of mind that they wouldn't get otherwise anywhere else. And I only wish that we had had this program when your dad was alive. It was something that I think has been born out of hearing people in our community say that they need this.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. My dad really appreciated connecting with other people.
Yeah, so I'm so glad to hear you say that. I'm really excited about this. It's a season of growth for us. We're looking to reach even more people, even beyond the 1,200 a year who we're providing critical support for. I know that this really matters to you. I know that it's important for you to pay this forward. And you've told me, that you're not going anywhere. And so I really appreciate that, Terry. And for those reasons, I'm asking you to consider giving $20,000 this year towards our mission.
That's a lot. What's the additional money for?
We're growing our program. So we're serving 1,200 people in not just the ways that we have in the past, which you're familiar with. We're adding additional necessary support in the form of mentorship and making those matches and training mentors, because this is based on life-saving support that people really need in the worst moment of their life.
I've been, thinking about upping my gift, wanting to find the right way to do it. So if you think this is it, let's do it.
Amazing. And I know you love to give towards the end of the year. Is there any possibility that you'd be able to give this month? That would really help us out.
Let me talk to my accountant.
Yeah, sure, totally. And just as an FYI, you can totally give gifts of appreciated stock. You do not have to give cash or check. If you have a DAF, you can give that way as well. Those are really tax advantaged ways to give. Those are also options for you, just as an FYI.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. I was thinking I also wanted to ask about planned giving and, you know, um making sure my estate's in order and making sure I include the IPPF in that.
Oh my gosh, we would love it.
That's something you guys do.
Absolutely.
All right.
We would be honored to be included in your estate.
Okay. Take my
I
money.
just say yes to all. Like,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah. What did you think? What did you think of my pitch?
Yeah, clearly it's confidence that comes with practice thing too.
Yeah, I've had thousands of reps, honestly. So,
But the other thing I'm just thinking is I tend to think about our different like donor personas and personalities. Either they just want to give us a gift and they don't actually know the specifics of our programs. So I kind
yeah.
of have to feel out where their interests are, or they're very involved or saying like, I want you to do this in research and maybe we can, maybe we can't. But I think the different way, that you're doing it is to think of specific people who are already our champions because that's who these people are.
I would say you estimate, and you said I wouldn't be surprised if there was an additional 200K. So if I were you, I would get meetings with those people. And some of them you might not even need a meeting. They may not even want to meet, but you could just send them a really thoughtful, personalized email and record a quick Loom video. Little tough love here, right? And you said this already. You felt it was a little rambly. You're going to need to be succinct. What the reason that I spoke about the way that I did is because I mean I have the blessing of not knowing all of the ins and outs of every single program, right?
Oh,
But
yeah.
my aim is to raise unrestricted dollars. I'm not trying to convert people into restricted donors by sharing
Mm.
with them specific programs because individual donors will give where you lead them. And if
Mm,
you have a lot of restricted donors, then it's usually because they're asking questions to understand to understand the impact. They don't get it. They don't get what you do. They don't understand. So they're like, okay, you want 10K. What does 10K do? Right? They think
yeah.
they're asking you a simple question. But then what you end up doing is you end up sort of creating like tiny little budgets for
Yep.
each donor. You're like, okay, well, 10K is going to specifically do this thing, right? And it's like, no, our program, what we do as an organization, right, is we provide critical support for patients who've been diagnosed with these rare diseases and they literally have nowhere else to turn. And we are a lifeline of education and emotional support with people who have been through what they're about to embark on, and they can't get this support anywhere else. And this is the worst moment of their life. And we do this in two ways or three ways, right? We support groups, mentorship, and conferences. I just made that up. I don't know.
That's
Some
accurate.
patient services, they provide financial assistance, right? But you haven't said that. And a lot of the folks that you're serving are elderly. So, it stands to reason that they're wealthier. So in many ways, it's an advantage that the people that you serve are also the people who'd potentially be your donors because they've been served by you. Their families have been served by you. So they get it. So you don't actually have to explain the ins and outs. They don't need a PhD in IPPF to give a big gift.
That's the hurdle I think for me and for us
Yeah,
as the
because I
organization.
get it. You're so smart, right? You're in healthcare, it's a rare disease. You basically got to be like, you got to read all of these medical journals and you're doing research and you have to speak the lingo. If I were in your shoes, I would, if you're really looking to grow, right? If you're at 500,000 now, let's say you want to get to $1 million a year,
Hmm.
I would change my standards. If I have any restricted donors, I would have conversations with them and convert them to unrestricted. And I
We
wouldn't
actually
be,
don't is the thing.
oh,
I mean,
great.
it's actually
So,
pretty rare.
and then I would have these conversations and raise that extra 200K that you think it probably is more. And you just said, I have a six-figure donor who gives that without me asking. If you had a clear vision that you could say, we're looking to raise $1 million and we're going to double our impact from 1,200 people to 2,400 people a year 2 years from now, and that's why I need to raise $1 million, it would make sense. Oh, okay. So that's why you're asking me to double my gift.
Sounds so obvious when you put it that way.
But that's the challenge, right? Is you've said,
Yeah.
well, I got to have all these ducks in a row. I want to have the
Yeah.
board approved it. I want to have the team excited about it. I want to and then I would say, what's stopping you? If that's what it takes to stamp out, here is the specific measurable impact, and we're drawing a line in the sand and saying that we want to create this impact, this type of impact for this many people by this date.
Mm.
And this is how much that's going to cost. That's what's going to get you to the next level. But the top 20 people you have now, they might not even need that future vision. They'll just give more because they trust you, they know you're effective, they believe in what you're currently doing, and they're not giving their best gifts because you haven't asked them.
Is it a direct, just like that call is the ask?
I would just say, hey, Terry, I'm calling you because I'm reaching out to our most loyal donors and I'm sharing with them where we're at. I want to talk to you about your giving. Yeah, and it's going to cost money.
Great way to frame it.
When we become our most courageous selves, when we're focused on who needs our help, it sounds like you have a lot of opportunity in front of you.
Yeah. And I appreciate your directness on it. The first time I came across, I think a friend recommended you on LinkedIn or like something, and you had a podcast that was like, this is gonna be full of tough love and direct. And I was like, oh, this is like I'm a little tired of all the beating around the bush and niceties that we just gotta say the thing. And so I appreciate hearing it.
Yeah. It sounds like there needs to be some pain relief in not growing your program, but growing your budget. Because your budget, it sounds like it's not right sized based on what you deliver through your programs.
No, no, I mean,
Yeah. So what's stopping you from raising 250,000 more from individuals?
it always feels like time, but it's probably also that hurdle that we just pointed out of feeling like we need to be over prepared and, able to explain every possible question that could come up instead of just kind of jumping in and doing it.
Yeah. What's one ask that you can make that feels like it would be a slam dunk?
I honestly, the way you framed it on we're helping X and we want to double that
Okay. Do you have a specific donor in mind?
potentially.
And you feel like if you ask them to double, it's a pretty high likelihood they'll say yes. Like that's what we're looking for here.
Okay.
This is not like a big risk. This is something that is like an ace in the hole, essentially. Think of that person. And my challenge to you is to do it in the next 24 hours.
Okay.
Because the only way to overcome this constant preparation, research, learning, tweaking on, working on it, tinkering, you know, all the busy work, all of the other things that are urgent, that demand your time, is just to take the very next step and do it right away. Give yourself a deadline in the next 24 hours and do not make any excuse. Do not give yourself an out and just get it done. And do it if your stomach hurts. Do it if you stumble over your words. Do it if you feel nervous. Do it, and it's just an imperfect forward action. Your donors are with you and they are far more forgiving. That they do not need a flawless presentation. They do not need anywhere near what perhaps the amount of effort you have to put in with these more laborious, tedious applications for grants.
Mhm.
Not even close, because you have a relationship and you've shown up consistently over years and they understand what you do. They've, like you said, they've had a personal experience. And like you said, there's 200K, you wouldn't be surprised. It's just sitting there. So if it's a 5K ask, if it's a 10K ask, I would encourage you to pick something that's in that range. Give yourself a deadline. I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to call this person. You can listen to, what we just talked about, go through that again. You heard me do my pitch, just steal what I just said. And then make the ask. If they don't answer the phone, shoot them an email. Something like, "Hey, I just gave you a call, but thought an email might be easier. That might be faster, but would love to catch up soon. Just wanted to share this is where we're at. These are a couple of accomplishments that I'm really excited about, and here's where we're headed. Love for you to consider doubling your gift and giving $10,000 this month," or whatever the ask is going to be, and just get it done. Because now, once you've done that, then you have changed your own brain, your neural pathways. You've opened up a new experience and you didn't die.
Yeah.
You didn't die. And then you're likely, because you picked an easy win, that you're going to get a yes. You're going to build momentum. You're going to see that you can do this, Patrick. You're going to see that people actually do believe in what you're doing. They're going to surprise you and you're going to make time to do it again. You'll find the time, because what you've spent a bunch of time doing and raising what you've raised, now you can do it in one phone call and raise 10K in less than 10 minutes. And it doesn't take a lot of time. It just takes guts. Are you going to do it?
Yeah, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, you can do it. People do it every day, all day long. You can totally do this. You have everything you need. You have people who are all in. You've built a great community. They're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Great. Well, let me know how it goes.
I will.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Patrick, for doing this. Really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.